And it's time. Hi there. Today I'm talking about the weird stuff. But today I want to start from something common to hit you up a bit. So imagine you are sitting in the room and it's planning and you see that P&L skills of the team and the dynamics on the feature is not something you wished for and you have to cut it. And you're saying it, guys, we don't have time for secondary crafting system. We just have to freeze the feature. We won't make it to the release. But the problem is your team is not making things just to close your tickets or get their salary simply. They are making it for beat the industry standards or make like challenge themselves, like make it the best way they can. And that creates something that is called the scope grief. What I mean by scope grief? Your design team secretly updating the design docs, iterating it, even testing it. Your programmers are updating stuff in the hidden branches of GitHub. Your modelers can experiment with lighting or the poly count of the models or some like node texturing integration and all this stuff. To tackle this, you have to make something I call ritual. The first part of the ritual, and every good one is composed of three things, is called the funeral. It sounds absurd, I know, but the human psychology requires closure. So in your next sprint, make it like in the retrospective of the sprint, make like 5 minutes dedicated to the dead feature. Give a screenshot, give video, whatever of the feature, and give the words, the microphone to the developer who handled it. And let him, her say like what was cool about the feature, what went well, why the feature looked and felt cool. Let him talk about this, the tech, the 3D animation, whatever. And this isn't about wallowing in failure. This is the exact opposite. It creates, like, it turns the frustration into the R&D. You are telling your team the work was not wasted. It helped us figure out what the game actually needed, but now we are putting the good stuff from the feature, like, to the rest of the future feature, the game itself, the practices we have, so that we could ship the game. The second part of the ritual is killing zombie code. Now, if you think that the first point of the ritual was HR stuff, we go in technical now. When the feature is cut informally, developers often leave half-finished code behind feature flags or keep the local branches floating around, things like this. So 6 months down the line, someone updates the core system and suddenly we have the merge conflicts, build crashes, bloating your build size, like there can be like lots of cases. So feature funeral forces official acknowledgement of like the feature closure. You can do it two ways. Option A, or like way number one, is clearly stripping the code out of the main branch completely with a dedicated task. So dedicate task, set time for it and do it. It's very simple. Option B, you quarantine the feature into a separate clean repository so that it can be reused partially or fully in a sequel or like future DLC, whatever. You also have to make the solid task for each of the options so that the funeral could be officially completed and you could check on it. So, um, so maybe that's it for the second part of the ritual. And let's go for the final third part of the ritual, the feature cemetery. It is about creating the page on the Confluence, Notion, whatever you use. Every time your feature gets buried, you give it a tombstone on that page. You list in three things: what the feature was, why it was killed, like too expensive for QA, out of budget, never made it with the Unreal Engine. And the final part, the third element, is link to the archived code branch. So these 3 points, and this saves you dozens of hours later when executive publisher or newcomer in your team, like coming to you or knocking in Zoom and, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we add a crafting system to the game? And you don't have to argue for an hour. You just send in the link to that feature cemetery Confluence page and saying we tried it in the sprint 5, here's why it failed, and here's what it cost us. case is closed. So, as I've mentioned many times before, half of the job is in managing the game production is about channeling the human energy and psychological momentum. That's all about it. So, when you give your team permission to mourn that ideas, you clear the mental space they need to finish ideas that actually matter to ship the game and boost the morale. So, look at your current sprint. What's one feature floating around that everyone knows is dead, but nobody wants to kill? Like, ask yourself, is there something like this? So, if you ever had uh, to bury that feature you loved, drop in the comments how you handled it, what you felt, maybe how you failed to do this completely, what it costed you. I would be really glad to read your experiences. And I see you around in 1 week. Bye bye.